All right, now we're filming.
I've been trying for hours and it's...
For how long have you been doing it? For an hour? All right. This is how you do in business also, you know, you keep trying and trying and trying and keep repeating and repeating and repeating. It didn't work out and then you keep trying again. You know, the guy looks frustrated. Anyways, good luck, yeah? That's what it is.
Hey, my name is Matiss. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Green Finance, and this is what I do.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? I am reporting again live. I was supposed to do this video from London, and I prepared a topic and I prepared everything, and then I got out of a tube and then I realized that my camera doesn't work and I got really fucking pissed, but never mind. You keep trying shit and until it works. So I'm here now in Barcelona, as you can see, this port right behind me, and there are some palm trees and there's the city. So it's all really nice and good. This is, what is it, Tuesday, late afternoon, evening. Tomorrow I'm going to the office because we have an office here in Barcelona. We means Green Finance, that's my business. We bought a company in Spain at the beginning of this year after a long round of very difficult negotiations. I thought I had the deal. And then it turned out that it just, like, you know, all fell through, and then it took several more months to actually get it back on track and eventually to close it. And so it's interesting that we're in Barcelona and I'm mentioning something about you know, buying a company, buying a business. And so the topic of today, what I wanted to cover, is really I think quite important, because it's often misunderstood and people have these notions in their heads which really need to, I think, be addressed. And so the topic is, you know, how do you maximize value from having a minority stake, a minority share in a small private company? And let's think about it, right? As a potential business owner, shareholder, it's very likely that you know, you will end up with having, let's say, 10, 15, or 5 or 20% of a small company. Small, let's say, by the kind of, you know, global standards, like, you know, a business making less than 10 million in revenue per year, and that you're gonna end up with a stake in this small business, and most likely it's gonna be private. By private meaning that you're not gonna have a you know, the company is not listed on the stock exchange. I think this is going to be way too busy for me to do the video. So there's a long road, like a nice little bridge across this canal, but I'm not going to go there because it's just too crowded. So the point is, what happens when you're in this position? You know, people think that this is amazing when you have this small stake in some, you know, nice little business, that you can really get rich that way and make money and dividends and sell it at a very high valuation, or any other you know, stereotype. Now, it is not true, and it's not true for a few reasons. Reason number one is, if you're in a small, have a small minority stake in a small business, it means you don't control the information flow and you don't control the cash flow of the company. Meaning you're not in a position to decide where the money goes, who gets paid first, you know, and who gets paid how much, etc. So that's number one. Number two is, if you don't have a solid shareholder agreement, an agreement between, you know, the shareholders in place, and if you're not on the board of directors of the company, you don't really make any decisions about the business. You don't decide on the strategy, you don't approve the budgets, you don't approve the spendings, and any other things, okay? So you really don't have any type of control and influence in the company. And the third thing, which is probably the worst, is, hey, you can wave to the camera.
Where are you from?
I'm from Latvia.
Where?
Latvia.
Okay.
All right, man, take it easy. And so the third thing, which is the worst, is probably the fact that you can't really sell your share. You can't sell your share to anybody because nobody wants to have like a few percent in a small company where it's illiquid, yeah, where you can't really do much with it. You think you have like this nice shareholding, but really it's kind of worthless. And so you know, what I really quickly wanted to cover, and let me just try to go back again because this is getting crowded. So this is the nice view of the city. I have no idea where exactly I am. It's just the kind of the beachfront. And so there's a few things you can do if you're in this position. Number one, you can try, or especially if you're getting in this position, then make sure you have an actual written shareholder agreement in place between the shareholders of the company, which outline specific rights for you as a minority shareholder. And that most likely will take a form of veto rights. Veto rights means that you can block decisions of, for example, selling parts of the company or selling any assets in the business. Or you can block issuance of new shares so that you don't get diluted down to 0.0%. So veto rights as a minority shareholder are very important in the shareholder agreement. And there's another guy doing selfie videos. You know, this is getting popular, man. All right, let me just try to walk circles here. And so that's number one. Number two, in terms of what you can do as a minority shareholder to protect your interests, is to make sure that you put into the shareholder agreement, in the contract, some type of rights to sell your stake in some particular scenarios or situations. And so, for example, a scenario where you would be able to trigger a sale of your shares could be, let's say, a qualified funding round. So if the company is growing and they raise more capital, and you have a small stake in the business, then you might require or request the shareholders to agree that if there's a funding round, then you can sell your stake in the business. Yeah, it's not going to hurt anybody, and that gives you some liquidity and some rights to actually cash in on your shares. Okay, and there could be other alternative events when you might kind of trigger this kind of sale of your shares. So these are just a few things that you can do to make you more protected, to make your minority share more liquid. But just remember that in itself, a small percentage of a small medium private company probably means far less than you think, and it's definitely worth far less than you think unless you protect it with veto rights, kind of special rights on the shareholder agreement, and you have some kind of options to liquidate your share in case of some events. So keep that in mind, subscribe, ask questions. I'm gonna come and get you if you don't, and enjoy this view. This is just getting more and more beautiful with this special color, dark or like rosy red from the sky. That's it, peace out, see you next time.